You're listening to the Esoterics Podcast. Hi everyone, this is Fiora Jo.
And this is Jo. Welcome back to the Esoterics Podcast.
How are you today, Jo?
I am fantastic. It's sunny and beautiful. The skies are blue today. It's a good day. What about you?
Yeah, same. It's a beautiful day. It's Monday, but yeah, I like my Mondays. I take it a little easy. It's been a good day.
You know what? Mondays, I was never that person that hated them. I was never like dreading them or whatever. I mean, I don't think they're as enjoyable now that I have to actually go someplace, on a Monday morning. But I don't dislike Mondays. It's the start of a new week, and it's all that potential.
So what's new with you?
Listen, I have a story. Okay.
Okay.
This is a story about food carts, crystals, and fucking around and finding out.
Oh, okay.
Right? All right, so follow along, children. All right, so let me preface this by saying that I have never loved the term Karen, right? In my opinion, it steals thunder from the label that some people actually should have of asshole. And I mean, it's true, right? Funny, haha, but really it does. I mean, plus Karen is kind of mean, right? I just think that in some other iteration, it would be offensive. I don't know. It's just like,
oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, like the term Karen, like where do we stop? But
Sure.
But regardless, I understand what it is and that it applies. But I think a better application is asshole. Like, why would you even need to replace that?
It sucks for a nice Karen.
Right, it does, and I know a couple nice Karens, and I love them.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the story. So I went to a local food cart, and it has a lot of food carts, and smack dab in the middle of that food cart pod is a little rock shop. And so I go in and I'm looking at all of the stones and stuff. It's a little higher price than I would pay, but these are legit stones. Stones. And I ask the owner, there's a man and a woman manning the place, and I asked the man, I said, do you have any cabochons? And he's like, oh, yeah. And he's just the loveliest, most social, just a fun guy, interesting, really nice to talk to, easygoing. I wasn't like, Jesus Christ, shut up and just, show me the stones. I was actually listening and engaging with him. So I bought a Labradorite that was etched with the 2 half moons and a full moon. Really beautiful. I'm going to make something for myself. All right. So I'm talking to him, and I don't even know how it came up, but I said, I just recorded a podcast episode about fake and enhanced, about fake crystals. Oh my God. Karen, or AKA asshole, pops in. She wasn't at all kind or inquisitive or whatever. She's like, what do you mean fake? And I'm like, well, enhanced, heat treated, resin. And she's like, we have to be very careful about what you call fake. So I was I'm like, okay, she's triggered. Seriously, dude, who gets triggered that easily? Like, for somebody they don't even fucking know. But I was like, all right. And I said to her, listen, I'm a podcaster. The title was meant to draw attention. Oh my God, that pissed her off even more.
Oh my God.
And she turned into just this big asshole. And her husband was like, I'm so sorry. You'll have to excuse her. She gets very passionate about this. And she's like, yeah, I'm passionate. I mean, I was like, oh my God, get the holy water and she was just angry at that point. All right. So there's a couple things. First off, the fucking people who run metaphysical stores here, I've mentioned this before, are assholes. All of them. I have not met one nice one. I've met lovely clerks, but if you own a metaphysical store in this area, the prereq is that you are an asshole. Um, and I'm not trying to say that to start attracting that consistently. Like this, I've been to
Right.
like six, seven, and they're all the same. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people here?
Mm.
All right. And here's the other thing that I had to point about this lady is that her credentials are littered with the words, and this is her website and all this stuff, are littered with words like master relationship coach, and then of course the most laughable one, teacher. Hold on while I rewrite that for you, because what teacher do you know is like judgy and mean and doesn't let you answer, or just tries to belittle you and basically condescend to you? Like, I don't know a teacher
Yeah.
that should do that or that would do that. So I was really surprised to see that she had those credentials.
I'm just annoyed that she interrupted your conversation, period. Like,
Thank you, because you know what he was showing me? Oh my god. Okay, so he was showing me the biggest piece of watermelon tourmaline I have ever seen in my
oh,
entire life, and it was the size of a large onion. Okay, and guess how much that sucker cost?
how much?
You're not
Um,
even gonna try guessing.
I don't know, like $200?
Oh my
I don't know.
god, $5,000.
What?
Yep,
What's
uncut,
the markup on that?
natural tourmaline watermelon. Remember, that's why I told you that piece of watermelon
That
tourmaline.
my
I
five
said
dollar
that is.
my $5 piece of
I
turtle.
told you that wasn't that real, but
It's
what?
a deal. I got a deal.
$5,000. Oh my god, Fiora, you would have loved it. It was all natural and had points and clusters and stuff sticking out
Oh,
of it.
how
It's right
cool.
up your alley.
That's
And it was literally these gorgeous bands of green and pink, and it was freaking gorgeous.
mhm.
Um, and so then he showed me a huge piece of natural citrine. Now, remember last week we talked about how it's like the standard, the citrine that we all know is amethyst
Mhm.
that's been heat treated,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
natural citrine is amethyst that was naturally occurring,
Uh-huh.
because the earth, like the layers of the earth of the volcano or whatever, excuse me, that is what heat treated it, so it comes out of the
Okay.
earth, yeah, as yellow.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, now that sucker was about the size of a baseball, and that was $2,500. So he showed me his most prized possessions, which I thought was really lovely. Because I
Yeah,
think he was
that's
trying to
really
make up
cool.
for her jerkiness. You know,
That would suck to have to be like in a partnership or marriage where you have to like apologize for your partner. That sucks.
I mean, the crystal store was actually a really cool store. And so I'm
Mhm.
a little bit disappointed because I probably won't go back simply because she was such an
Well, yeah,
asshole.
of course.
Like if I had friends in town and I'm like, hey, you want to go check out a really cool crystal store? I would take, them there because their towers and points were just beautiful.
Oh.
And the majority of their stuff was natural. And it really was beautiful. They were very well, educated in, quality crystals. And she did have some other really cool credentials. She's like an advanced crystal master, a certified crystal. So I get why she wants to make sure that people that she comes into contact with are sharing correct information, but you don't do that. You don't just
Mhm.
attack somebody as if they're fucking stupid
Mhm.
before finding out. And so I did. The fuck around and find out part is me saying, and I told her, I said, you haven't really listened to the episode. So if you would like to listen to the episode and then make notes on what things I should, change in my delivery, you are more than welcome. And I didn't even let her, I was like, it's Esoteric's podcast. I was like, fuck you. Listen to my
Yeah.
podcast and then fucking tell me what I did wrong, you jerk.
Yeah, that's just the audacity to just have this assumption
The
like you're
audacity.
wrong. It's like, no, chill out. You don't even know. You don't know me.
She was mean.
But that's, I just had this conversation with my son last night. Because I have to constantly remind my kids of this. I think we all need the reminder of like when someone is rude to you or mean to you or just ugly to you, that's about them. That is not about
Yep.
you.
Yeah. Now, you know me, and you know I ruminate, 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 ruminate. And this is the first time I've really thought about it when I was writing all of the notes for today's episode, because,
Yeah.
basically that's what I said. I was like, ooh, that's about her. That is about her. Like, that's not me. I'm just this happy person that was in there because I'm like, I just found a
Yeah.
crystal with a moon on it. And I'm like, I want this super overpriced freaking crystal,
Hmm.
So all I did was say, hey, I just had a podcast about it. Maybe she's jealous and she wishes she had a podcast.
Maybe.
I don't know. Whatever. She's a jerk.
Who
She's a
knows?
Karen. Anyway, so that's the story that I have. I always got to bitch about something on here.
Yeah, I don't think I encountered. Well, I had a little bit of a racist one, which
Uh-oh.
we went to this coffee shop on our way out of the area we were in on Sunday, and it's like this little Italian coffee shop. I found it on Yelp, and we're in there, and the guy's waiting on these two customers. The guy who's helping them is a white guy. The couple who he's helping are also white, and then there's my husband and I behind them. And I don't know what kind of conversation he was having with them, but he says something about like, well, if you go to an Asian restaurant and you see a black couple there, that doesn't really mean that doesn't mean that the food's going to be good, but if you see an Asian couple in there, that means the food is good. And my husband and I just looked at each other and we're like, did he just fucking say what I think he just said? Like, I know where you were going, but you used the wrong example. That is not okay. It was so, we just like looked at each other, just fucking flabbergasted. And and at that point he said, he's like, I was just waiting for you to tell me to walk out. And in that moment I'm like, okay, like how do I what do I say anything? Do I and you know what? Like, I had just had a really beautiful weekend and a really good experience with friends, and I was at at the point where I was like, it's not my fucking job to educate everyone. It's not my job to correct everyone. And I don't know, maybe if he'd caught me in a different mood or a different time, I would have. But I'm like, it's not like worth my energy. Ugh, I don't know.
I pick and
It's just,
choose. I pick
uh
and
huh.
choose, honestly, because, I could get mad all the time. People are just
Yeah.
overtly and blatantly racist these days. I mean, overtly and blatantly, and they do not give a flying fuck. And they say things and they'll look at you like, and? So
Uh huh.
it's like, do you fight that fight and fight that battle? And if it's somebody that means something to me, or if it's a situation that means something to me, a situation, then I do. Then I
Right.
will say something. But for the most
Right.
part, I'm just like, I just look at them and I'm like, ugh, you're
Yeah.
garbage. You're a garbage human.
I just I have to be careful with it. I have that whole
You got that
uh
fire. You got that
Mercury
fire.
and Scorpio. Yeah,
Hmm.
Mercury and Scorpio, and it just like sometimes when it comes out, it just like lash.
Yeah.
Just like real rude and really mean. So
No,
I
I
have to
gotcha.
like rein it in a little bit sometimes. So but in that moment I was like, I don't want to give my energy to this to
Mm-mm,
educate this man. Like that's not my fucking job. I don't
mm-mm.
know. Let's let him
And
learn the hard way.
and also, like, what it's he's not gonna care. I mean, I don't know what it takes for people to for like for people to realize, oh, I need to like pay attention to what I say or how I think or blah blah. I don't know what it is. Is it a boss saying something? Is it somebody that they respect? Is it? But I have to believe, as a woman of color, it's not a woman of color saying, "I'm sorry, excuse me, are you aware that
Uh-huh.
you're being racist?" Because they're
Right.
like, "I'm sorry, excuse me, are you aware that you need to mind your own fucking business?" Or
Right.
something like
Right.
that,
Or
which is
yeah.
what I would say.
I felt like that if I had said anything, he was just gonna try to backtrack and be like, "No, no, no, that's not what I meant." Because it's
Lies.
not what he meant, but it's also like don't be stupid. Like pick better words, pick
Pick
better
better words,
examples. Don't
right?
just talk out of your ass. Don't just yeah.
But wouldn't it be funny for you to like just very quietly and patiently watch him backtrack, and then all of a sudden, when you're ready, just yell, scream as loud as you fucking can, lies, and then just
Nice.
like see what he does. I love to mess with people like that.
I'll just post a review on Yelp.
Oh my god, right? What did I see the other day? Or maybe it was today. It was something how um, people can get revenge by yelping, like posting bad
Yes.
reviews on Yelp. So
Yes. Don't don't fuck with me on Yelp. I have double digits of reviews that I have written. I write good reviews, I write bad reviews. I am not afraid that is where my grammatical power, comes out is definitely on Yelp. Like this one lady pissed me off so bad. Oh, this was a long time ago. And okay, so we were shopping for rings. We go to this jewelry store. It's in like this really nice area of town, and it's a really nice shop. And I'm in there, and my daughter at the time was like 3 years old. And she was not a bad kid. She was never like misbehaved or whatever, but she's 3 years old. She's curious
she's
and stuff or
three.
whatever.
I mean, come on,
Yeah.
2-year-olds
Yeah.
and 3-year-olds are the assholes of everyone.
but
Toddlers.
but she was good about like if I always had stuff for her like toys or snacks or whatever, and she was just chill, just give her something to look at, something to play with or whatever, and she'll just sit and do her thing. I don't even remember what happened anymore, but it was a man who was helping us, and he was cool, he was fine. It's like a family owned business, and then the mom comes out, and for whatever reason, she just like had it out for like my daughter. And it was like, oh no, she can't sit there, or she can't do this, she can't do that. And I just looked at her, I was like, she's fine. She's not touching anything. She's not doing anything. She's like, oh, well, we can't have her sit. She was just like sitting on a stool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it wasn't anything like, it's not like she was sitting on a vitrine or something that was going to break. Like, I don't know. She just really just
Overreacted and
triggered
freaked out.
me. Yeah. Like, don't fuck with my kids.
Mm-hmm. Mama
Um,
bear.
so after that I was like, I'm out. We're leaving. Like fuck, fuck your jewelry. I'm not buying shit. And then I wrote like a really
Scathing.
good
Scathing. Was it
review. Really,
scathing?
yes. Yeah, a
Nice.
very scathing 1-star
Scathing.
review. And then for like the next, I don't know, 6 months to a year, all it was messages from them trying to get me to take down the review. And I was like, no,
Oh.
fuck you. I am not taking it down. I actually edited the review to say he keeps messaging me, asking me to take down my review. And I also reported him to Yelp. Don't fuck with me. Don't. If
See?
you pissed me off, you played the wrong one. Sorry, not
Yes.
sorry.
This is not the day. Fuck around and find out. Listen, I should Yelp this food
Yeah.
cart crystal store, but I liked the guy. The man was so kind and everything. So
Then say
but
that, because
oh,
that's
I
what I do. I'll
could,
say like, so
couldn't
and so
I?
who helped me was great, but their boss was a total jack off,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and whatever.
I should. That's the new power. Scathing reviews on Yelp. Don't test me. That's what I'm going to tell people. Don't test me because I will go to Yelp.
If you're a business, like behave yourself. This is why I don't have a business online
Right.
with Yelp review. No, see, I just wouldn't treat someone like an asshole. Like,
No.
I think I have enough empathy for people, enough empathy for a mom with a child who's maybe, like at the grocery store struggling with a kid who's tired and throwing a fit. Like, I would try to help her, not look at her in judgment. Like, but I don't know. Some people are just dicks.
I mean, I don't have kids, and the last person that I judge are people with toddlers because, look, the last thing I'd ever want is a toddler. So God bless you, and I send you
You're
good
doing the
vibes.
Lord's work
You're
raising that,
doing the
raising
work
that
of the
child.
Lord, the work of the Lord.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Um,
Okay, so this started off as a fun way to introduce episode 44. Also, don't cut any of that out. It's awesome.
all right, Joe. What are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to dive into part 2 of the two-part series, Fakes, Psychics, and Scams. Last episode before last, we talked about crystals, and today we're going to talk about fake psychics and
Okay.
scams.
Ugh. Do you have a personal story? Have you ever been scammed?
No, I've never been scammed, and honestly, I go into this in a little while. But with all of the psychics that I've worked with, all of the psychics that I've met and collaborated with, I've never ever ever met a scammer or somebody that didn't have legitimate abilities.
Hmm.
It's more that I've met people who don't know how to develop or use their abilities or don't have any practices in place. And
Mhm.
so they're just doing, fuck all. It's like, wait, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Why are you, oh my God, you're going to get possessed, which is,
Yeah.
which is not real. But, I tell them that because it's like, I wouldn't do that because you'll get possessed. I'm lying, you guys. That's not real. But what about you? Do you have a scammer story
I mean, other than, like, constantly being messaged by fake scammers, yeah.
from Instagram?
Yeah. Yeah, just
Yeah.
that, and,
Thank
one time
God.
I had a quote unquote "free reading," which was then like which nothing about the reading jived. Like, it was like, "There's this person, and things ended, and blah something," like, I was like, "Yeah, I've that's never happened. I've never been in that situation." That
I remember you telling me that story, and somebody sent you there, then they sent you back or something like that, or
Then she was like, "But I can clear this for you for, $400 or whatever." And I was like,
ooh,
no, no, thank you."
mm,
And then, credit to her, she messaged me later exactly at 4:44 PM, like, asking me, like, "Are you sure you're, whatever." I was like, "You fucker, like, you're
mm,
even, like, doing
mm,
the time thing to make me think, like, oh, she messaged me at this time.
mm,
It means
mm.
something."
Right. And did you say I'm not that gullible?
Yeah, no. No, thank you.
Okay, well, you and I
Pass.
are skeptics on various things. Some things I'm skeptical of, you are not, and vice versa, right? I
Mhm.
believe the Illuminati exists, and you are like, no, it doesn't. So whatever. We agree not. We agree to disagree, right?
Yes. Mhm.
But I generally, and I believe you do too, love a good skeptic ideology, right? We tend to be skeptics ourselves, with few exceptions.
Yeah.
It seems like nonsense. If it seems like nonsense, it typically is, right? But there
Yeah.
are
Yep.
exceptions. But as a
Mhm.
psychic medium, I struggle with psychic skeptics who claim psychics are nothing more than scammers who use mentalism, vague statements, and other assorted, tricks to steal money and prey on the vulnerable. Like, I'm not that
Yeah.
person. Who grows up and says I'm going to be a psychic and I'm going to fuck with people and steal their money. Granted, there are people, and we will talk about those people, but for the
Mhm.
most part, people just want to honestly, people just want to learn how to connect with their spirit guides. And if they can, then they want to find a way to do it for a living to help others. That's the general
Yep.
consensus.
Yeah.
Okay, now, psychic skeptics, the reason that they are my least favorite of all are all of those reasons. Like, they're just, I just can't stand these people, and I don't give a fuck about proving anything to them. So if they try to, be like, oh, well, you're psychic, you should know. I'm like, yeah, well, I'll cuss them out. Um, like, I seriously don't care about that. But many people do care about that, right? So, all that said, I believe that psychic abilities are legitimate and they're meant to help people travel their human journeys. They're meant to help people find direction, closure, support, clarity, hope, peace of mind, all those beautiful things. And I believe that 90% of psychics out there, mediums, intuitives, readers, do that.
Yeah.
I also believe that these people exist on a spectrum like any other ability, right? Some are incredibly talented and others aren't, just for any number of reasons. Some are badass and blow you away, others are unremarkable, just like athletes, just like skilled trades, just like doctors and musicians.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? Okay. So, in all the years that I have been teaching intuitive development and collaborating with other intuitives, I said this earlier, I have never once met a fake or a scammer. However, I have definitely met people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? Which is through no fault of theirs. They just haven't had any uh, structured learning. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I've met people who peddle in fear-based messaging, right?
Yes.
You're
Yes.
like this stupid lady who's like, you have a curse attached to you.
Yes. Mhm.
I've met people who read others through the funnel of their own unhealed trauma or beliefs or fears.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if
I've
Yep,
I've happened that's happened to me too. Mhm.
yep. And I've met people who create and nurture a dependency on them as a reader, and so that people keep coming back. This doesn't necessarily make them fakes, but it does make them opportunists. And
Yeah.
the word that
Yeah.
I've enjoyed peppering this podcast with so much, assholes. Um, Nurturing a dependency on somebody else as a reader. that is the lowest of the low, and that is one of the reasons why I love intuitive development. This class that I just gave, this 4-week
Yeah.
class, the feedback on it was just remarkable, and people were like, I had no idea that I had the ability to connect the way that I did. And it
Yeah.
was simply just teaching them how to connect with Akashic energy. That's it. You know,
Yeah, it's empowering. It's so
it's so
empowering, and you're so empowering. Like
oh,
that's why I love learning from you. It's because that is who you are. That's how you are. You're very of that, like, yes, you can do this. Like you can do this too. And really removing a lot of things like that some people kind of put up in a hierarchy of like, oh yeah, eventually you'll get there like with time, and which is true. But it's all that's also like kind of it puts you off a little bit and makes you think like, oh, how long is this going to take? But you're not that way. You're just
nope.
like, no, you can do this.
Yep. Oh, you can do it. You need a structured process to learn, and then you have to commit time to it. You have to develop the relationship. But that's it. That's
Yeah,
all it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
And and the thing is that it doesn't stop people from booking with me because 90% of people never trust themselves anyway. So if anything, I gain their trust by they know that
yeah,
I'm not a scammer or a jerk, and then they book with me. So it's that's not the reason that I do it, but that's one of the perks.
yeah, yeah.
So for this episode, what I want to do is offer both sides of the coin because I do want to point out what those scams are, but I also want you to understand them from the psychic's point of view.
Mm,
Both sides of the coin, what to look for, and why it's not necessarily a red flag. Because typically skeptics of psychics and readers have been either burned by someone, or they know someone who has been burned, or they
yeah,
simply think that they are just super smart. They're just much smarter than everybody else. They just think everybody else is stupid.
right.
That's what skeptics are. All right. So one of the things, the first topic I want to talk about is when a psychic has bad reviews. Okay. Whenever you
Okay.
finish a reading with a psychic, you're given the opportunity to write a review that can help potential clients who may consider booking with them. Listen, you guys, as a reader, reviews are so valuable and helpful and incredibly appreciated. So please take a few minutes to record your experience or even read through the reviews, right? Fiora and I were just laughing about writing a scathing review, I mean, if you have a terrible reading and the person's an asshole, write a scathing review. But
Yeah.
bad reviews might look something like the following, okay? And so that's
Mhm.
why I'm saying, do your research. So, first off, if somebody
Yes.
says, they seem to take a really long time to answer my questions, okay? Listen, if you're paying for your reading by the minute, and you and I were talking about this the other day,
Oh, well, yeah.
a psychic who
Mhm.
seems to drag out their answers might absolutely be trying to get more money out of you. They're
Yeah.
paid to freaking keep you. They're paid by the minute, right?
Yes.
But real psychics with true gifts will understand what you're looking for. Okay. But we aren't mind readers. And so we need to
Yeah.
ask questions to make sure we understand the issue that you want to explore so that we can give you insight and advice that's relevant. Okay. For instance, the Akashic records, they're vast. You can't just open it up and say, tell me what I need to know. If
Yeah.
you've been a client of mine, you know that's not how it works. Um,
Yeah.
we'll be there all day. We need specific questions or issues so you can get specific answers. And I can say, if you are booking with a psychic who charges by the minute, then that's a risk. Okay, so I wouldn't do
Right.
that. Look for psychics who give you a set time for a set price. You get 60 minutes with me for a set price. End of
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
If you want to extend it and you have the option, then that's your choice. That's your choice.
Mhm.
But I always let my client know when they have about 10 minutes left so we can make sure they get all their questions answered in the time allotted.
Mm.
Okay. So stay away from those dollar a minute. What you're opening yourself up to getting ripped off.
Yeah. I mean, I've never done that. I've never paid for
I,
that, but I always
no.
just assumed that those were fake.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or a scam or whatever. Like they don't have a ton of legitimacy behind them.
Yeah.
Another bad review might be the advice didn't resonate with me at all. All
Okay.
right, well that's legit, right? But
Yeah.
here's the thing. Readers shouldn't be giving advice. They should be relaying information from spirit or the Akashic records or whatever, right? They're messengers. Readers are messengers. Readers are
Ooh.
interpreters. We're not advice givers. And some of the responsibility lies on you as the client. If you're not in a receptive state of mind, much of the information that's going to come through isn't going to resonate with you. So
Uh-huh.
honestly, the reader knows very quickly when it's not going well or when the information isn't flowing. And that reader, a legitimate reader, should have an alternative way to relay information, whether they use tarot or numerology, which is what I do. If that
Mhm.
information, if it's not flowing and you can sense in the other person that it's just not resonating, if they're saying a lot of
Yeah.
no, that's not me, then you
Mhm.
need to make sure that you have several different methodologies to read a person.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so if the info isn't resonating, there can be several different reasons. It's not necessarily it's that the psychic is fake.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, do you think it's possible to tap into like okay, no, I've seen this before. Um where like okay, and then this girl actually had a reading with her and she was great. She was like super spot on. But she talked about how she did have a reading with someone and she gave them information. Like she told them it looks like there's a third party in your relationship and this person just did not want to hear it. She was not ready for that information. She was like, no,
Yeah.
no, there's no way. Like, and she's like, yeah, I'm just telling you what the cards are saying. I'm not
Hmm.
like just
Yeah.
and I'm like, ooh, that's a hard spot to be in. And so I think that is a possible
It's
way
possible.
situation. But
Yes.
there's also, yeah, so that my I guess my question is, do you think they could tap into like the wrong energy or
Well, it's
like
all
I
about
don't know.
integrity, how they're delivering it, right? And there are tons of classes and modules out there about psychic integrity, about ethics in being a psychic reader. So I don't talk about
Mm,
death. If I know somebody's going to die, I don't talk about that. And if I know somebody's cheating, I don't talk about that. That's not my business. That's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, whatever. Like, you got to
mm,
figure that out for yourself. Like, I don't talk about anything. I don't talk about that because, first off, everybody has free will. Second
yes.
off, if you plant a seed, there are seeds that I do plant, right? Like, oh yeah, you'd be really great as a business owner. Seed
Yeah,
planted, right? Because
motivational
it's
seeds. Yeah.
yes, it's
Yeah.
positive, it's creative. But the seed planted of you can't trust your man, then you know what I mean? Like that's not my business and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So if you're getting bad information like that, negative information, that's just a red
Mhm.
flag. Like why are you giving this person money?
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, so the advice doesn't
Well, I think
resonate
in
at
this
all.
case this person had questions about her relationship. It wasn't like out of like so it
Ah,
wasn't like she was asking her about work and then she just brought this
and
up.
she just
It
gave it
was
to
like
her.
that was yeah, that's what the reading was about. The reading was actually
Ah,
about her relationship.
would you
Yeah.
tell
So,
someone though? I mean, I always find a way around it. I don't. I just stay away from that. I just, and it's not lying. It's like I have. I'm not going to interpret that, and I'm not going to deliver that. What would you
I
do?
might not say th I might not say that completely outwardly. Um, I would say something more about, like, follow your gut and follow your
Right.
instincts.
Thank
And
you.
if
What do you
something,
think?
you know, if it smells like garbage, it's probably garbage. Just saying.
If there's flies, there's maggots.
Yes, that's all. And that's the advice that I would give you regardless of if you have a reading with me or not. That's what I would say.
Right.
Like, if you ask me, like, "I think my boyfriend's cheating on me," I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
follow your gut and also, like, maybe tune into, like, where is that feeling coming from? Is it
Right.
coming from your past traumas, your past experiences? Are you
Right.
projecting what other people have done to you onto your new partner?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this partner actually, giving off the vibes,
But dude, even if it
acting
was
shady?
you, right? Like if you're like, I think that um,
Mhm.
Mr. Fiora is cheating, and what do you? And I'd be like, all right, well, let's pull some cards. And then if the cards indicated that there was some sneakiness, like the Seven of Swords or something, if there was some
Mhm.
sneakiness going on, I'd be like, Fee, look what this card means, right? But I wouldn't be like, oh yes, this Madame Cleo says
Oh.
that he, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I would
okay.
stay away from it.
Okay. So, yeah, a little, like, step back, like, "Hey, this is what
Yeah.
came up. You read into this." Yeah,
Right,
I like
right.
that.
Okay. The other thing, another review, a bad review might say, it felt like they were guessing, not reading. Okay. Okay. Listen,
Oh.
y'all, we aren't reading from a book. We are getting information from our clair abilities. And if this sounds like guessing, it's because the reader might not be as confident in their own abilities or the information that they're receiving. There are times when
Mhm.
even I, will pose an information that comes through as a question. I'll say something like, it feels like you're actually going to expand or go into a new direction. Is that something that
Mhm.
do you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
so many variables. Another thing to keep in mind is that a psychic is receiving messages, information and messages from spirit via their abilities, not a freaking phone.
Mhm.
So, what may seem vague can actually be the result of the psychic's ability to receive and interpret information, which I kind of alluded to earlier. But for instance, when I speak with a loved one who's passed over, I might ask for specific information in order to validate to my client that I actually have reached their loved one. But depending on the strength of the connection between myself and the spirit, depending on the age of the spirit, if it's somebody who just passed over, they're not going to be as good as relaying information. Um,
Yeah.
or the abilities that they try to use for me, if it might be one of my abilities aren't as strong as the other, I might only be able to get something like a picture or a word or quote unquote something vague. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
I'm fake. It simply means I need to try another avenue through which to get information. So again, there's two sides to every story with this, and you know I'm just trying to help
Yes.
people see the psychic's point of view. All right, another review might say they were just telling me what I wanted to hear.
Oh.
Okay, this kind of cracked me up a little bit because my question is, are you sure? Because I can't tell you how many readings I've done where I've said, I know that's not what you want to hear, but it happens all the time. But it's what you need to hear, right? So here's the bigger question. If you feel like you're not hearing what you think you should be, my question for you is, if you feel like you're hearing everything you want and still have a problem with it, why are you resistant to good things happening in your life instead of opening up to them?
Yeah.
You're telling me I'm going to get a job and get married and all the wonderful things I've been wanting. And I'm like, yes. And you're like, I don't buy it. You're just telling me what I want to hear.
That sounds like a limitation.
Right.
Like a self-imposed limitation.
Yes, yes, yes. So, if they tell you what you want to hear, fucking celebrate, man. I mean,
Yeah.
your gut is going to tell you if they're fake. There are so many other
Mhm.
things that are going to tell you that they're fake. It's not going to be the information that you want to hear. So just
Mhm.
forget about that one. Another review was that they talk too much. They talk too much. And so skeptics like to accuse fake psychics of talking a lot instead of letting the client talk, because
Mhm.
that accuses them of like smoke and mirrors deception, right? If you can't talk, then you can't be misread, or you can't pick up on bad advice or whatever. Okay,
Mhm.
I think that that is legit, but again, let's just flip the script a little bit. Um, and you know this. I just want everybody to know. Let me explain how fast and hard information comes in during a reading.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming at you, you guys. And if you are a reader, you know what I mean. You're getting pictures and visions and words and thoughts, and you're getting all of that. And that all has to then be, in a split second, put into some logical form, which can
Yeah.
then be interpreted to your client. There
Mhm.
isn't a lot of room for the other person to talk. And you're not paying me to talk. And I'm going to be honest, I don't want to hear because when people talk, they complain.
Mm.
I want to
Mhm.
ask you the question, give me the facts. And plus, I'm a Capricorn, right?
Yes.
I, that's
And
just my
let's
nature,
get down to business. Mhm.
right? It's so true. So the thing is it doesn't matter if you're a psychic, an intuitive, or a channel. You're experiencing so much energy and information that learning how to slow it all down is a skill. It's learned, and the information that needs to be relayed to the client, it's hard to know what to cover and what not to cover. So
Yeah.
what I can tell you is that your reader should make time to ask you if you have any questions. Okay.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's very difficult for people, especially when they first start out, to stop mid flow. All that information's
Yeah.
coming at you. You can't just stop mid flow and then say, "Do you have any questions?" and then pick it back up.
Right, right. Well, okay, so even like when I had my reading, my Akashic reading with you, and you got
Mhm.
to the point where you were gonna channel a message, you told me like, I need you to be quiet for this because it's a channel that's coming through. Um, yeah, I don't expect to. It's not therapy. If
Right.
you're going to psychics and having readings all the time, um, because you feel like you're not being able to work through your problems, you might need to look into talking to a therapist instead.
Right. There's tons of therapists out there that are incorporating spirituality. So you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Pay them. They pay, and I'm not trying to be, mean or rude or anything like that, or sassy. I'm just saying that if you're paying me, $175, you want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
Yeah.
and if you have
Yeah.
a ton to say, that's great, but it's going to take away from the time you paid for an hour. You want
Right.
40
Right.
minutes of shit, or do you want 60 minutes of shit?
Yeah, I just sat there and wrote down notes. That's what I did.
You are a perfect client. Um, all right, let's see what else do I have to say about that. Just make sure that you get some time to sit up to the reading. So usually about 10 minutes left. I say, okay, guys, we have about 10 minutes. What do you want to know? What haven't I covered?
Mhm.
What information? What do you want to know? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, now that leads me to the next one. A skeptic might say, well, if they ask a lot of questions, then they're fake. Listen, asking questions, it is not an indication that a psychic is a fraud. It's not. Psychics use a combination of clear abilities, mediumship, and intuition to answer your questions and guide you. They ask
Yeah.
relevant questions to offer guidance that's specific to your situation.
Yeah.
So, for instance, during an Akashic reading, the way to get specific information requires asking specific questions. The records are not a refrigerator that you can just open up and browse, right? Stand there in a daze and browse. Like,
Right.
those records are a vast amount of information and they require a very specific query, just like Google.
Mm.
So you can't leave the search field blank if you want specific information in Google, and you can't do it with a psychic. Now, a skeptic might say, well, if you're psychic, you should know what I want to know. Oh, here we go.
Not that not a mind reading psychic.
We're not a mind reader,
That's not a
you
thing.
know? And
No.
again, I'll cuss you out if you say that shit to me.
I mean, we can read energy and I can tell when you're lying, but
Right,
you know, but I
right.
but I but I can't like sit there and like read your brain. Like,
No,
I don't know. It's
I mean,
stupid. Why do we
even
waste people's time like that?
telepaths. I don't know. They're just dumb people. This is why I don't like skeptics. They're dumb. um,
You don't no one's forcing you to believe. If you don't believe, just go on.
no. Well,
Move
and
along.
also with questions, let's talk about how psychic abilities really work, right? How can I read people over Zoom? It's science. When we speak, our vocal cords vibrate, and that creates sound waves. Those sound waves carry energy through the airwaves. Psychics read energy. End of story. This is also why questions and listening to our client talk is so important.
Mm, mhm.
All right, let's see if we got a couple more before we get to the good stuff. They use manipulation and urgency. Yeah, a fake psychic may try to control the narrative and lead you to the conclusion they want you to reach, right? A legitimate psychic is going to help you explore the energy that impacts your life. They're going to guide you through possible outcomes and choices. Scammers will often create a sense of urgency in order to bypass your instincts. So make sure that you stay in control of the conversation. Take your time, ask questions, and avoid being rushed into a decision or a situation. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just say,
Yeah.
no, I'm not ready to make a decision on that or whatever.
Yes.
Um, the scammer will tell you that you have to act fast or something bad will happen or you'll miss out, right? So listen,
Right.
I both of Fiora and I would remind you that we never, ever, ever, ever miss out on what is intended for us. What's meant for us will always find its way to us no matter what. The universe makes sure of that. So,
Definitely.
legitimate psychics never, ever, ever manipulate vulnerable people, and they never ask for money outside of the booking fee, ever.
Yeah, and that's the one that I've encountered on a few different occasions. Is that like, here's the reading that I paid for, but then here's the added stuff that you need, and it's going to cost you thousands of dollars.
Okay, so the last sort of potential scam that I want to look at both sides of the coin on
Hmm.
is prepayment. Skeptics say that anybody that asks for money up front is a scam. And
No.
no, and thank you. And I say many people in the service industry or the service field, especially holistic, don't require
Hmm.
prepayment, right? Some massage therapists don't. My massage therapist didn't require prepayment. Okay. I, however, require the session to be paid for at the time of scheduling for
Yeah.
one simple reason: no shows. People
Yeah.
would schedule, they would be on my books for several weeks, which means that that appointment slot was not able to be booked. And then
Yeah.
at the last
Yep.
minute, they would cancel, meaning that I missed out on a potential slot, a potential paying client.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
I was like, fuck this. People are going to prepay. And you know what?
Yep.
I have never had an issue, never had a problem, nothing. People, I very rarely, before I switched to this business model, I experienced no shows quite a bit. And since I implemented prepayment, it's very, very rare, very rare. But, I also make sure that I'm on time. I never cancel unless I have an emergency. And if I have to reschedule or move appointments, it's typically because of a scheduling snafu, or just life in general. So if you hear statements like no reputable service provider will ever request prepayment, know that that is not true. And there's nothing wrong with the practice, as it keeps providers from losing out on appointments when clients no show. That's,
Yeah.
that's the only reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think unless you're doing it in person, I think it doesn't make sense to not pay ahead of time, because you're not just paying for the service that you're going to receive, you're paying to reserve the spot
We
for
reserve the
that
spot,
time.
right?
And this is showing that you're serious. Like, I
Right.
do this all the time with all sorts of services that I get.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I do with my massage therapist requires a deposit,
Yep.
which that's fine because I'm serious about
Yep.
going. And I
Yep.
respect her time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my way of showing her, I'm going to be there. I respect your time. I'm not going to cancel because I know I'm going to
Nope.
lose my deposit if I do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Yep.
respect both
Yep.
ways.
It
I
is
don't think.
respect. It really is. Mine requires you have to give your card, and she actually puts it on the card, but the card is charged after the service. So, and if you no
Oh,
show,
okay.
the card gets charged.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, to close it all up, what to look for with a fake psychic? Legit psychics create profiles, they create websites, they detail their experience, they list their skills, their tools, their reading style. They're open about the methodologies and the modalities that they use, the teachers that they've studied with, and the topics that they feel really confident or specialize in advising you on. Okay, they have a solid website or profile. That's a really good indication that you can trust the psychic who wrote it. Okay, again, there's exceptions to every rule, because I'm sure all of the top scammers that we're going to talk about in a minute have had legit websites. So basically, the thing is that we are drawn to the reader that um, we are meant to work with for whatever reason,
Yep.
whether it's a good experience or a negative experience. Do your research, check your reviews, websites, social handles, referrals, ask friends. We're typically, like I said, we're typically drawn to the intuitives we're meant to work with. So let your higher instincts just guide you to the right person. And it's as simple as saying, okay, Spirit, I'd like a reading on this topic. Show me who I can best work with. And just follow the signs. Follow the signs, the
Yeah.
symbols, the breadcrumbs.
Yeah. And be careful with all the Instagram fakes. Are you
Oh
going to talk
my
about that?
God. No, please. That's
Oh,
such a good
okay.
idea. Can you even believe that?
Yeah. So the Instagram fakes, how to spot a fake profile. There's a few things. So if you notice, like, you get a new follow from someone you thought you were already following, and then you go on to that profile and you see, like, oh no, this is not I'm not following them. Okay, red flag number one.
Yep.
Go look up the original
Mhm.
person who you who you think it is, who it's supposed to be, and verify that that's, that they still have their other account, that it's not like they
Mhm.
created a second account. Okay, so that's step one. Step two, look at their follower count. And if you, a lot of times they gotten smarter, because it used to be they'd only have like, 50 followers or whatever by the time they got to
Mhm.
you. But now they're buying their followers first and then adding like actual people. So they'll already have like 1,000 or 2,000 followers. Sometimes like they'll buy
Wow.
10,000 followers. But if you go and you look at their followers, you'll see that they're fake accounts, because they're like just uh user accounts. Some of them don't even have a user picture, or if you click on the account, they don't have any posts on the account. And like, and I'm talking like hundreds of accounts that are like that, where they have a single post and that's all it is. They're just fake accounts. um
Wow.
Also, if you scroll through, because they're getting smarter. So if you scroll through and you look at all their posts, and you notice that their posts have been like bulk posted, like everything was posted February 9th or something, like
Mhm.
they had like 20 posts on February 9th. No one fucking does that. No
Hell no. Who
legitimate
has time?
person. Yeah, no, nobody does 20 posts in one day. Nobody does
Mm.
that. And if their account only goes back a few weeks, a few days, I've seen some like recently, right now we're in March. I've seen some recently that go back as far as January.
Oh,
So they generally don't stick around for too long, but if it's really fresh and they bulk posted, and these are all red flags of, just block them. Report it as
report
somebody
them for
impersonated
sure.
somebody, and then just block them. If you want to take it a step further, I have done this for a friend that got her account duplicated that way, and they were scamming people with her account. Was I let the person DM me, and then I asked them for a PayPal link to send them money, and I sent them $1 so that I could report them to PayPal and have the PayPal account turned
Shut
off.
up. That's genius. So here, take your dollar, but I'm going to shut your entire operation down, bitch.
Yeah, and I did that because that was a friend that that it was important to me.
Yeah,
So
I'm so
yeah.
sorry for that. That there's a couple people I follow, and one in particular, the one that you referred me to, she's always complaining and mad and angry because people are always duplicating her account all the time.
Yeah.
She even has one now. I saw her yesterday, and she's like, I lost, I think she lost like 15,000 followers. She said because they just kept. She said so. She said I'm just starting over.
Yeah.
I feel
Is
so
it the
bad
one
for
where
her.
they stole her account and turned it into one of those Bitcoin fake account things? That one?
I don't know.
Because
It
they
was
did one
true.
to one of the readers.
It was
Yes.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
that poor
So
girl.
what they
She's
did
been
was
harassed for months.
they stole her account. They hacked her actual account.
Oh my
So this is
god.
worse. And then they're doing this Bitcoin scam, because this is going around too, where they'll steal your account and then they'll basically hold you hostage in the way of, make this video saying like, I just invested $500 and I got $10,000 in my account from so and so, like talk to so and so or whatever. Make this video and we'll give you your account back. And they make the video so that like to your friends it looks legit, like, you're like, oh look, it's so and so, and now she's talking about what she just did. So now it's like you're more likely to give up the $500 or whatever it is that they're asking for to invest in quote unquote Bitcoin or Bitcoin mining or some shit. And yeah, and you don't get your account back, and they just continue to post and post until somebody
Is
else
that why
falls
she
for it.
lost her thousands of
Yep.
followers because she didn't do
That's
it?
how she lost her actual account. Yeah,
Her
because she wouldn't make the
actual
fake.
account.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that
Yep.
insane? So how did she find me? Because she did friend me. How do you think she found me?
She could just go back into her old account and look at her followers and follow off of it. That's how they are doing it. That's how the scammers are doing it. They're just going through the original person's account, looking at their followers and following them.
Wow.
Yeah.
My God, who knew? Like social, I mean, social media is the garbage pail of the earth anyway. But I mean, like seriously, what a horrible thing to have happen to you. I can't imagine. If I got locked out
Yep.
of like mine, I would be like, okay, um, that sucks. Life's over. But
Yeah.
anyhow,
Make
life's
sure
over.
you
But
have your two factor authentication
oh,
turned on
on
in your settings.
everything.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that can save you from not having your account stolen.
Yeah,
If you don't have that turned on, you're at risk. Yeah,
yeah.
I had somebody copy my account and make a fucking only like a fake OnlyFans page
Oh,
the other day.
oh, see, cause see, you're walking around looking all pretty. They're like, we're gonna charge for her to look at her, and then
So
we,
I got all these messages. They're like, "Is this you?" I'm like, "What?"
that's what you get, right? That's what you
I'm
get for
like,
being
"What
pretty.
the hell? What the hell?"
Oh my god, these
I was
people, they
like,
piss me off. All right,
"This is
let's
so
talk about some of these
stupid."
scammers. Now, these are not internet scammers.
Yes.
These seem like old
Okay.
schoolers, which I love the old schoolers anyway better because they
Mm.
kind of crack me up. The interwebbers are just little losers, but these people, they put some time and energy into this shit. All right,
Yeah. Yeah.
so these are psychics who are legitimate scam artists. I don't know if they are actual psychics. I would assume that they have abilities in order to get into the field in the first place, but who knows? The first one is the most famous. That's Miss Cleo. In the 1990s, Miss Cleo, with a Jamaican accent, she invited us all to call me now for free reading. She had her fortune telling tarot cards spread out on the table in front of her, and she tells us the cards will reveal things that you can never see by yourself. So, you got to call this 800 number for free readings, right? Well,
Mm.
all the people called her. They called her, but those readings were not free. Callers would find themselves on the hook for as much as like $300 a call. And the
Wow.
psychic on the other end of the line was not necessarily Miss Cleo. It was Miss Cleo was just an actress from LA. Okay,
Oh.
but yeah, she was right in your neck of the woods. But she was one of many readers who got paid based on how long they could keep a caller on the line. So, in
Um.
2002, the Federal Trade Commission shut the Psychic Readers Network down for unfair trading practices. But get this:
Yeah.
the owners of that agreed to forgive $500 million in phone charges. $500 million. And they had to
Wow.
pay a $5 million penalty to the FTC. They
Mhm.
were raking it in. $500 million. Can you even imagine?
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't like one of the richest Kardashian? Isn't she makes like that a
I think
day
she's
or
like a
something?
billionaire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
billionaire. All right. The next one is Ask Billy. That was the name of his psychic. You remember these are old school because I think they're way
Yes.
more fun. So they, of
Yeah.
course, they had stupid names. So the mysterious 2007 death of hedge fund manager and frequent CNBC guest Seth Tobias. He died at the age of 44, and it turned into this sort of tabloid scandal that involved an internet psychic. Okay, so Tobias's wife Philomena found her husband's lifeless body face down in the swimming pool of their Florida home, and he left an estimated to be worth as much as 25 million. All right, but he had not updated his will after a previous marriage ended in divorce, and so Philomena's attorneys argued that Florida law entitled her as the surviving spouse to be or to the entire estate. And Seth's four brothers would receive nothing. Okay,
Oh.
well, in walks Billy Ash. He's a California man who claimed to be the Tobias's personal assistant. He told a handful of reporters that Philomena confided in him that she'd hatched this plot to murder, Seth by spiking his pasta with the sleep medication Ambien. Why pasta? I don't know. And
Wouldn't it have been easier to spike his wine or something?
right, like why pasta? I mean, maybe he liked to cook. I don't know. And then
Maybe
luring
it'd be
him to
less
the
suspicious.
pool with the promise of three-way sex with a male stripper.
Oh my god.
Right, like
Wow.
uh, first some pasta and then three-way sex. Have I mentioned that I don't like to
Okay.
be jostled when I'm full, and the last thing I want to fucking do after having pasta is have
That's a
fucking
lot of
sex.
carbs.
Three-way sex, fuck that, right? The whole thing is sus. The whole thing.
Yeah. Who falls for that?
Right. So,
Who has
well, the
sex after
tabloids,
pasta?
right? The tabloids, they seized on it, and as would I, were I a tabloid writer, because that's like the best story I've ever heard.
Right.
So they seized on it, and then also the Tobias brothers got in on it because they're like, "What?" Right? They argued in court that Philomena she shouldn't get shit because of Florida's Slayer statute. Of course, you know Florida has all these fucked up statutes, but this one actually is a good one, where a surviving person who unlawfully or unintentionally kills or participates in the death is not entitled to any benefits. So, the brothers were like, "She doesn't get
Yeah.
shit," right? All right, so finally, there was an investigation into all this nonsense that revealed that Billy Ash was not, in fact, a personal assistant, but it was Philomena's fucking psychic, who he got pissed because following um, Tobias's death, Philomena refused to give Billy any money. And so he used her personal information from their sessions to spin sort of this tale of pasta and
Oh
three-way
my
sex. And
god.
authorities eventually ruled that, Seth Tobias died of natural causes. His wife was cleared, and the estate case was quietly settled out of court. But here's the thing: Billy fucking Ash was not charged. I would be like, wait,
What?
what? Why wasn't he at least charged with
Well,
filing a false report?
yeah, yeah, at the very least.
Hold on, must be a big fire going on. I live right by a light. Oh my god, there's three trucks. Oh, there's a big fire. I hope everybody's okay. All right, I have a couple more, so I'll go through them relatively quick. Rose marks. So one of the oldest tricks in the psychic scam playbook is to offer to remove bad luck or reverse a curse. You and I have talked about this.
Yes.
Rose marks of Florida, Fort Lauderdale. Florida just creates, crazies. Still, she was so good at it that she managed to con the best-selling novelist Jude Devereaux. Remember her? Does she sound familiar to you?
No.
She's
Mm-mm.
like a romance artist, but she's a romance
Oh,
novelist from like
okay.
the 70s or 80s. I don't know.
Okay. I know Daniel Steele. So was
Yeah,
she like
yeah,
from that
yeah. Daniel
genre? Okay.
Steele-ish. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Anyway, she conned her out of millions of dollars over a 20-year period. So Marks was the matriarch of a family of supposed psychics that were accused of scamming like hundreds of clients out of $40 million. How do you get a? I don't even understand. So basically, they would target people when they were most vulnerable. For Devereaux, it began when she was going through a painful divorce. She started visiting, Marks, and she kept coming back because she said she listened to me, and I've never had anybody to just listen to me. So this is what
Oh,
Marks did. Isn't that sad? Yeah.
that's sad.
She's a fucking best-selling novelist. How come people aren't listening to her? Like, I don't know.
They're reading
So
you.
I know, right? They are listening in different ways. So Marx
Yeah.
told her, she said, listen, she said, money is the root of all evil. And she convinced her to turn over millions in cash and property until she could remove the curse. But once she removes the curse, then I'll give it back to you. You'll get it all back, right? Well, she never gave it back.
Oh.
And so, the bullshit is that the entire family, remember, it was an entire family of, they were fortune tellers of Roma heritage. Um,
Oh. Uh-huh.
yeah, what the term gypsy is the politically
Gypsies. That's where it
incorrect
comes from.
now, right? I think
Yes.
it's a cool
Mm-hmm.
word, but I'm not going to argue with the PC people because there's no
Yeah.
winning. Um, anyway, they say, well, we never meant to defraud anybody. That's just a part of our Roma heritage. And but the jury was like, fuck around and find out.
Mm-mm.
And so Mark's got a 10-year sentence at a federal prison in West Virginia.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Right, I don't feel sad.
10 years?
10 years. Yeah, 10-year sentence. They really didn't. Many of them didn't really get much. It's. I mean, I think now
You
it's
don't
different.
get a lot for blue collar crimes that don't actually hurt someone. You know what I mean? Like don't
Yep.
cause any physical harm to someone.
Mm.
There's not like have you watched the Tinder swindler
I have not, but I've heard of
documentary
it, and I've
thing?
heard it's really good.
Yeah, without spoiling it for you, he does end up getting caught and he does very little jail time for what he did. Like yeah.
Isn't that
We
crazy?
were watching it. We are just like, maybe I'll do that. It was only like a few months, and
Are you kidding me? A few months and he
there's
got
no
to keep all that
incentive.
money?
They didn't. Oh, he paid like a fine, but it wasn't like he had to give it all back. No,
Oh,
no, no. Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
heard somebody say that there's the women are trying to get their money back and they're trying to get back at him or
I hope.
something.
I hope so. I really hope
Yeah.
they do because, but I don't know where they're gonna get it. He spends it as quickly as he gets it. So.
Priscilla Del Maro. She had a fortune teller storefront in Times Square. And Niall Rice, he was a British internet entrepreneur. He was devastated by unrequited love. Okay, not
Mm.
a girlfriend, unrequited love, devastated by her. And so he was desperately seeking to unite with this woman that he met at a drug treatment facility.
Oh.
And so he visited the psychic shop of Priscilla Kelly, and
Hmm.
she was like score and milked the situation for more than $550,000.
Wow.
Dude says, I just got sucked in. That's what he said. I just got sucked in. Um,
Eesh.
this shit went on even after the woman in question died. He meets her in a drug treatment facility. She ODs and dies, and he's still falling for this shit because now she's telling him, "I'm gonna reunite you with her reincarnated person."
Oh
Swear to God,
no.
and dude fucking fell for it.
Oh
So
god.
she's serving 8 months in jail and was sentenced to 4 years probation after pleading guilty to grand larceny. 8 months in jail and 4 years probation for $550,000.
And then did she have to give it back?
I don't know.
They never say. Yeah, I don't think they do. I think that well, okay. I think it's probably that's the criminal court side of it, and then I'm sure he probably had to file a civil suit to actually get his money back or
To get money
something.
back. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the last one, and this one I know has to pay the money back. But how the fuck you're going to come up
Okay.
with 15 mil is beyond me. But all right.
Wow.
Rachel Lee, and this is local. This is a Portland, Oregon, Portland Bend, which is about 3 hours away. It's a local story, so there was lots on
Oh.
it. It was just there's no. I could go over the whole thing and take an hour, but it was so good. So I'm just highlighting it. So
Yeah.
Ralph Raines Jr. He was a scammer's dream. He was a wealthy heir to an Oregon tree farm fortune,
Hmm.
and he was very lovely. He was like childlike gullibility, just a very sweet man. In 2004, he visited the Bend, Oregon storefront of Rachel Lee, who claimed to be a world renowned psychic. I think that was self proclaimed.
Hmm.
And so the dude was 57 years old. And when he confided that his biggest dream was to be married and have a family at 57, it was all this bitch needed to snake her way into the family fortune. So what she did was she recruited her 17-year-old daughter, Portia, who convinced Ralph Raines Jr. that he had fathered her son, and the son's name
Oh.
was Giorgio Armani. Giorgio
What?
motherfucking Armani. She named her kid Giorgio Armani. It was actually her sister's kid, but she's like, give me that kid. I'm going to tell this guy that I swear to God, this family is garbage. Okay. It gets better though. And so, um, eventually the psychic Rachel Lee would
Hmm.
eventually gain control of the Raines family assets, including the 1,000-acre tree farm. Over time, investigators said she groomed the victim for the purpose of extracting money from him, and then falsely claimed that she was actually providing for his his dying dad. Right. Well,
Mm.
she told authorities that no, I was taking care of my husband, but how she got into the family was by telling her dad that she was going to take care of his dad. It's a cluster.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
so there was a really sophisticated level of deceit going on, and she was able to convince the
Hmm.
victim to hand over all of his personal and business control of his financial accounts, everything. Let me handle
Wow.
everything. And so while she controlled his finances, she and her family lived in a multi-million-dollar home in Portland's West Hills, which, I mean, I love Portland's West Hills. It is bougie and gorgeous up there. So this scam went on for 10 years before authorities caught
What?
on. Yes,
Huh.
10 years. How they caught on was a Portland police detective. She lived out in the country and she would
Uh-huh.
commute to work every day. And she noticed a Ferrari parked outside of the psychic shop. And she said, this is a little small farming community. So for a Ferrari to show up, it really stuck out.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, they started digging and digging and digging, and they finally figured it all out. Well, the Ferrari was Rachel Lee's actual boyfriend's Ferrari. So the bitch had a boyfriend while
Oh.
she was, it's the craziest thing. All right. So long story short, at the time of Rachel Lee's arrest, the fortune that had been in excess of 15 million was diminished to just over $200,000 in the bank.
Oh,
They
wow.
ran through like 14.5 mil, right?
Wow.
And she eventually pleaded guilty to conspiracy and is serving an 8-year prison sentence. But I also know that she has to pay back that money. But
So, uh, so hold on. So was she more of like a psych, a scammer that claimed to be a psychic, or also happened to be a psychic, but she was also a scammer? Because it
she
seems like the scam that she pulled with the family wasn't really psychic related, or am I wrong? Did I miss something?
I don't no, you're correct. Okay, because like I said, there's so much more to this, and I just needed to break it down. So,
Ah,
what she
okay.
did with some of that money was she opened up a psychic shops. She opened up one here in Portland. She opened up one in Vancouver. She had the one in Bend, and then there was one some other
Okay.
place. So she had like 4 psychic shops. So I
Okay.
don't know if she was working all of them. She was obviously hiring people to work in those psychic shops. But at the time of
Yes.
the arrest, she also had begun grooming 3 other men.
Oh.
Yep. So she was like, Ralph, he's got 200, 200K in his account. And,
Left. Yeah.
it's time to move on. And she had
Right.
3 other guys on the pipe, or 3 other men.
Wow.
So I think she was a scam artist who used a psychic shop as her, what is it called? Like money laundering or whatever,
Yeah, okay.
because,
That was
yeah,
her. Yeah, that was her
yeah,
scam. Her
that
scam
was her scam.
wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily the psychic shop. It was yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, those were just some fun stories that I wanted to throw in so that you knew what actual legit scamming psychics look like. They're not those that are, have bad reviews or take time a long time to answer questions or blah 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 blah. So,
Yeah. Very
so there
good.
we go.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Don't fall for the scammers.
No, don't.
All right. Don't forget you can find us on all the socials under Esoterics Podcast, and be sure to join our Facebook community, the Esoterics community, to hear firsthand about our services, events, and courses, and as well as getting intuitive development tips, card pulls, free meditations, and a lot more.
A lot more. Thank you for sharing space with us today. You guys stay mystical, magical, and ready to do it again next week. See ya. Bye.
See ya. Bye.